Fifthly, some say this, well, why can't we say that the universe itself has God-like qualities? Why can't we say that the universe is God in the sense that the universe has existed from all eternity? Doesn't that seem like a valid point that you can make? As I was watching somebody discuss this issue with a religious person, and this person said, well, God created the universe. And the skeptic answered back and said, well, who created God? Now you see, we're going to answer that question, but let me simply say, just right off the beginning, that is kind of a nonsensical question, because you're asking this, in essence, what is the cause of the first cause? It's a category mistake logically. What is the cause of the first cause? You see, you can't ask that kind of a question, because we're saying that the universe is an effect. We're not saying that God is an effect. We're saying that God is the first self-existent cause of all things, who needs no cause. You see, for anything to be, there must be a cause that is uncaused itself. Going right back to the arguments of Saint Aquinas, the arguments from motion, the great uncaused causer, the great unmoved mover. And so, for anything to come into existence, there must be an uncaused cause of all things. And so, when you look at this issue, does the universe fit the bill for saying that the universe is God? Can the universe fit the criterion for God being its own first cause, or not even being its own first cause, but existing from all eternity, therefore being the cause of all things and not needing an explanation? And we'll deal with that in just the coming moments. As we deal with this issue of whether or not the universe is eternal, this is a very interesting issue, you see, because if the universe is eternal, then it therefore fits the definition of God. And we don't need to look for an explanation for the universe, because the universe itself would be the first cause. It would be the uncaused cause, or the unmoved mover of all things. You see, to ask what is the cause of the first cause is a category mistake logically. You cannot ask what is the cause of the first cause. And so therefore that's one of the reasons, and I say one of the reasons, why God has always been and always will be. There's other ways to explain how we can understand that, but our finite minds is such as that it's very difficult for us to understand something that has always been, always will be, and doesn't need an explanation for itself. And you see, logically though, we can understand that. To answer the question, why is there something rather than nothing, there must be something that has always been, always will be. There must be something that is an uncaused cause, something that is the first cause of all things and itself is uncaused, because you cannot have an infinite chain of causes and effects, and we'll deal with that in just a moment. So is the universe therefore eternal and doesn't need an explanation? Because that's really what we're suggesting here, is that why is there something rather than nothing? Well, the something is the universe. It's us. And does it need an explanation, or has it always been? Has a something always been? So let's jump into this issue. Is the universe eternal? Well, one of my favorite things to do is study physics and astrophysics. Although I don't know the mathematics, I love the theories and I understand the theories. And one of the things that tell us that the universe is not eternal, but it's finite. You see, if the universe is finite, then there is no need for suggesting that it's God. There is no need to suggest that the universe, as Carl Sagan says, the universe is all there is, all there was, and all there will ever be. You see, there's no reason to believe that about the universe if the universe is indeed finite. And so does the evidence show us that the universe is finite? And indeed, it does. Let me demonstrate a couple of the scientific evidences that the universe is finite and not infinite. And therefore, if it's not infinite, then that means it doesn't fit the category of being an uncaused cause. It doesn't fit the category of being God. So therefore, all the Eastern religions must be wrong, because they believe that God is everything and everything is God. And pantheism, God's presence permeates all things, and all things are God, and we're God, and the universe is God, and therefore the universe is the cause of itself. And so, does the universe fit that bill? Well, if it's finite, it doesn't fit that bill. If the universe had a beginning, then it therefore must have a beginner who himself, and I use him because we're personalities, and by the principle of analogy, we can understand that personhood only comes from personhood. Morality only comes from one who is moral. You cannot have morality from non-moral or amoral things. So anyway, is the universe finite? Yes, the universe is finite. And here's the scientific evidence that shows us that the universe is indeed finite. One of my favorite historical figures is Einstein. Einstein had two theories, general relativity and special relativity. Now, special relativity is that one that everybody knows. E equals mc squared. Energy equals mass times the speed of light, which is c, squared. So there is a correlation, a one-to-one correspondence between energy and matter times the speed of light squared. It's a tremendous number, and that's why you can take a little bit of matter, convert it to energy, and produce a huge atomic bomb. So E equals mc squared tells us that there is a one-to-one correlation between energy and matter. That's how the sun burns, and that's how it turns 500,000 tons of hydrogen into 495,000 tons of helium. And there's that mass loss, and in that mass loss, it's turned into pure energy. And that's how the sun burns, according to E equals mc squared. So E equals mc squared is Einstein's special theory of relativity. Well, there's also general relativity, and they're no longer theories. We've done enough experiments that we know that the universe is governed by special and general relativity, right down to the 14th decimal point. It's a certain fact that the universe is governed by the law of special and general relativity. Well, here's the thing. General relativity, which has to do with gravity and acceleration. General relativity tells us that the universe is expanding. And if the universe is expanding, you can extrapolate that back and show that there was a point in time when the universe began to expand. So if the universe is expanding, there's a point in time that it began its expansion, and that's what these equations show us, and therefore you can turn the clock back and show that the universe began 13.78 billion years ago. It may seem like a long time, and it is a long time, humanly speaking, but the universe is not infinite. It is finite. You see, there's other experiments that we have done. Not only Einstein's equations tell us that the universe is finite, but also the experiments that we've done with the COBE satellite and the WMAP satellite. Now, those were simply taking pictures of the light, the fossil light, that is still shining in from all directions in outer space. It's now microwaves because it's been stretched out a bit. But here's the thing. We have microwaves coming toward us from every direction in space. And those microwaves are at a temperature. Now, for those of you who are scientifically minded, the temperature is 2.5 degrees Kelvin, thereabouts. And so we have a 2.5 degree light, that's 2.5 degrees above absolute zero, light microwaves coming toward us from all directions, and we've taken a picture of that. And that picture is what they call the WMAP or the COBE map, which is simply the microwave background radiation, which is simply the fingerprint of the creation of the universe. It's fascinating what is in that information in the cosmic cosmic microwave background radiation. And that cosmic background radiation tells us that the universe is finite. The universe does not exist from all eternity. It has a point in time where it had a beginning, and by the principle of cause and effect, the law of causality, we know that for every effect, there must be a sufficient cause. Not only do the scientific evidences and empirical experiments that we do shows us in our particle accelerators and all that stuff, not only does that tell us that the universe is indeed finite, but there's also a logical principle that tells us that the universe is finite. And it's simply this. It's called the Kalam cosmological argument. And it tells us this, that there cannot be an infinite amount of days that preceded today, because there cannot be an actual number of infinite things. We can have that abstractly, but we can't have an infinite actual number. And since there cannot be an infinite amount of days that preceded today, because today would never come, therefore the universe is not infinite. I hope you've enjoyed our short discussion on these 6 reasons or 6 explanations as to why is there something rather than nothing. And the 6th one is simply this: a self-existent, personal, powerful, wise creator brought all things into existence. And the scripture says, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. And that is the most reasonable, rational explanation for why there is something rather than nothing. Thank you for watching, and may the Lord bless you. Hi, I'm Dr. Kenny Rhodes of Reason for Hope. You know, we count on the generosity of our viewers in order to make these programs possible. And we would ask that you would prayerfully consider giving to Reason for Hope. You know, these gifts that you give, they go to the work of the Lord. And nothing that you give for the Lord's work will come back void. And I want to pray that you would consider storing up some treasures in heaven by supporting this program. And the way that you can support this program is simply by writing a check to Mabel Avenue Ministries. That's Mabel Avenue Ministries. And if you could just write on that check and put under the memo, Reason for Hope, and that would really help us out. And we prayerfully ask that you consider that. And please mail that to us at 1483 Mabel Avenue, Modesto, California, 95355. Again, please make checks payable to Mabel Avenue Ministries, care of Reason for Hope, and mail that to us. And also we ask that you would just send us an email and let us know what you think of these programs. Let us know what we can do to serve you. We want to answer questions and give people the reason for the hope that is within us, according to the scripture in 1 Peter 3:15, to give an answer for the reason for our hope. Would you prayerfully consider adding Reason for Hope to your monthly giving? Remember, support your local church first, but after you've done that, would you consider giving to this ministry so that we can let everybody know that there is reason for hope? Thank you.
We'd like to thank you for watching today's program. To contact Reason for Hope, please write to us at 1483 Mabel Avenue, Modesto, California, 95355, or by phone at area 209-380-3009, on the World Wide Web at www.scofield.me. Email us at reasonforhope315@gmail.com. Today's program is sponsored by the following: